We have a pretty cool duo of speakers today that I will now introduce. Following that, I will mute myself, as I hope the rest of you will, so that our speakers can speak without any interruption. And those speakers are number one, Dr. Andrea Maldonado. Yes? Okay.
Very well done, Mark.
Thank you. Thank you. Pardon my pause there as I gathered myself. Okay. So, Dr. Maldonado brings over 20 years of higher education experience, including college counseling, admissions, and student affairs. Holding a doctorate in anthropology from Brown University, she founded NSLC's international admissions and has partnered with hundreds of schools worldwide to promote leadership conferences for middle and high school students. Dr. Maldonado is dedicated to making a positive impact on young people's lives by helping them discover and share their talents. We also have Kelsey Pearson here today. She's the Director of Operations, Georgetown Programs, and Co-Director for Educator Relations. A DMV native from Northern Virginia, Kelsey Pearson has 7 years of experience as a school counselor from Loudoun County and Alexandria City. I lived in both of those places for a bit.
Also.
Same here.
Nice. We should talk shop later. Okay. Uh, she holds a bachelor's in human services from the University of Delaware, a master's in school counseling from George Washington University, and an administration educational leadership certificate from George Mason University. With 9 summers at NSLC, Kelsey currently serves as a site director during the summer and associate director of educator relations for the Northeast year-round. She is passionate about developing young leaders and the college process and enjoys scrapbooking, running, and playing basketball. So without further ado, I am going to mute and let you guys take it away. We're so happy to have you. Thanks again for coming.
Sure. Thank you so much for having us. And I think we'll just wait for Kelsey to share the screen. And it is so nice. And, for the very reason that Mark was, struggling a little bit with my name, this is why people call me Dr. Dre. All my friends call me Dr. Dre. You are all welcome to call me Dr. Dre. And I've been with the NSLC, my gosh, full-time 10 years, but over 21 years participating in some capacity. I was never a student, but I started as one of our team advisors as a staff member. And it's so lovely to see so many of you who I know and I've met at HECA. So thank you for having us. Kelsey?
Yeah, and thank you for the warm introduction. And so I just would add, yes, I was with NSLC kind of part-time. I started as a staff member in the office and just truly love this organization. I know, and I will talk about, there's so many options out there, but I really am biased and just love what we get to do every single summer. So yeah, this is my 10th summer on site, and I am as excited as I was the first summer. So really looking forward to telling you guys a little bit more. So a little bit about the NSLC in a nutshell. The National Student Leadership Conference runs summer programs for middle school and high school students on college campuses. So we run career-focused programs to which students pick one of these career topics that they're interested in studying, come on campus with us for 6, 9, or 18 days to the 13 universities that we are present at, and then kind of get to just test drive that major. So we bring in guest speakers, do lots of hands-on activities for students to see, is this a really good fit for them, not only in college, but as a career and beyond. So I love the networking pieces. I love that students get to do like hands-on things that they might not get to do at their high school or in their area, and just having students bond and get to meet people in a really unique way. All of our students are very diverse from all over the country, which I'll talk about more, but we have 70 different countries represented each summer. And as it shows, we've been doing this for a long time. This is 35 plus years of experience running summer programs with high school students. So something we're really passionate about.
And today we're here. Really, thank you again for giving us an opportunity to speak to all of you. We want to dispel some of the myths about summer enrichment programs in general, but but the NSLC in particular. I was actually out to dinner last night with an IEC here in South Florida. I'm visiting schools, meeting with educators, and it was just so timely, the topic of conversation. So some of these are a lot of the misconceptions that we have heard from you all, from other folks, and we're going to kind of break each one down over the next 30 minutes or so, and use NSLC to give you a concrete example of how some of these myths or misconceptions are simply not true. So let's start with the hot topic one that often we hear over and over. This is a pay to play. Um, this is quite an antiquated term. And as this IEC who I met with last night in Delray Beach commented to me, she actually resents this term, pay to play, given that she does not see her services in the same light. And what educational programs and services are offered at no cost today? Probably very few, whether they're offered by universities, third parties, or even yourselves. Although the NSLC is not a highly competitive program, and there are programs like that out there, a few of them, the idea that everyone who can pay gets to play is really simply not true. And I'm going to go over just some of the admissions criteria that we have. So there is this myth out there, and this is related to the pay to play, that the second misconception. You mail invitations to everyone and market exclusivity. Um, some companies do this. There's actually a company with a very similar acronym to the NSLC that does this, but this is not NSLC. A very select few receive invitations from the NSLC based on their performance on a standardized exam. But we are actually moving away from sending invitations, given that in recent years, we've seen that just because students score well on an AP or PSAT exam does not necessarily make them socially or emotionally fit to attend our program. And we really do follow criteria for admissions for all of our students. Students must have at least a B grade point average to attend an NSLC program and demonstrate leadership potential through coursework that they're taking or extracurricular activities. We encourage educators, including yourselves. IECs are considered educators in our world at NSLC. We encourage educators, all educators, to nominate their students. And you'll hear a little bit more about the nomination process later from Kelsey. This nomination serves as a way to vouch for your student's character. Students who are nominated will be accepted into the program of their choice in a very fast track application process. Everyone who is not nominated to attend our program. So that includes the folks who enroll on their own, find us on Google, or find us out through a friend of theirs, or folks who even receive one of those select invitations. They will be required to provide a reference form as part of the admission process to the NSLC in 2025. And then Kelsey will talk a little bit about our student population.
Yeah. So one of the myths and conceptions is that our student body is not very diverse, and so I just, as a part of our DEIA team with the NSLC, it's something that I enjoy touching on and talking about because I think we actually do a very good job and have kind of grown and changed with the times to put more focus on diversity and inclusion with all of our students, not just around race, and where students are from, thinking countries and areas, but really in all that we do. And so here you'll just see that our student body is from all over. We have about 10% of our students that are international students, which is also so fun. I think a lot of our students walk away feeling like I've met someone that I would have never met before, whether that be the other side of the country or another country entirely. They really just feel like I have someone that I've bonded to that is different from me in where they live or where they come from, but similar to me in their passions and what they are excited to do. So I think that's wonderful. And then recently we've added kind of race to our application process and only for our data purposes. And so we're sharing it here with you. But I think it's really awesome to see that this is mirroring kind of what we see in our country in terms of race. And so we're definitely more diverse in other specific areas, not just with our Caucasian or white students, which I think is really cool to watch. And we're modeling that in staff and then also in our guest speakers as well, which is really awesome when we're on site together.
Yeah. Thank you. And another misconception is, and this is related to the next slide as well, or the next misconception about tuition, that it's so expensive. But a lot of educators are surprised when they hear that we offer scholarships, and we are actually part of a larger body called the National Student Leadership Foundation. So we're actually at very high. We have a hybrid economic model at the NSLC. It's not fully for profit. It is actually partly nonprofit and partly for profit. It's a very hybrid model. And our foundation offers a lot of scholarships. We have school partnerships that with certain schools that sponsor some of the students that they send every single year. We have organizational partnerships as well that provide sponsorships for the students, and partial sponsorships. And we offer a lot of educator scholarships. Altogether, we're offering sometimes, about $500,000 a year in scholarship funds. And in the past, we have also offered college alumni scholarships as well. So students who attend our programs as an alumni, they could apply for a $20,000 college scholarship to the college of their choice. Usually give three awards: $20,000, $10,000, and $5,000. So there's a lot of different scholarship opportunities. I'm kind of gonna, I want to, would like to go over the scholarship process right now with you, since many of you may not know that that we do offer scholarships. And while some of your students may not require scholarships, I want you to know that they do exist, and some of you may offer your services pro bono. So we can work with those students as well. So um, to apply for a scholarship, they're usually nominated by an educator, by yourself. Then they would register. And then, as the next slide shows, they would actually participate, or they would actually complete a college application, a very similar application to college application. And it looks very much like the Common App. So this is great practice for students who really want to get a head start on drafting their personal statement. They'll have to write 2 essays. They'll have to complete, resume of activities, get a copy of their transcript. They put all this together. They submit it every March. Usually it's mid-March of the following year. So 2025, it's March 12th is the deadline. And then we will review we have a scholarship committee. We will review the applications. And while this part of the process is a little bit more competitive than our admissions, about 85% of our students who apply for scholarship funds do get something. And from $1,000, $750 is usually the average scholarship. But based on financial need, they might receive a little bit more. And if any student who applies for a scholarship does not receive a scholarship, or the amount that they receive is not enough for them to attend the program, they can cancel their registration, get a full refund of anything that they've paid. So, and this kind of goes along with, oh my God, your programs are so expensive. And yes, they are expensive. Not, we recognize that not everyone has access to the programs, but as the next slide will show, the breakdown of the tuition for what the students are receiving at the NSLC. it really is, this is all inclusive. Once the students arrive on campus, um, they are kept busy from 9 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock at night. And Kelsey will kind of go into more detail about the structure of our programs, but they are in activities constantly, whether it's the simulation activities, hands-on activities, leadership activities, field trips. All of that is included in this. Really, they only have to bring with them, you know, some money for souvenirs. They do like those campus bookstore swag items, and maybe one or two off-campus meals. And then obviously they do have to get to the university. But they can pay in payment plans, and if they start now, they have more time to pay off the tuition. So they really, it is an investment. Also, students who participate in these programs, about 85% of the students who attend the programs, um, we hire hundreds of staff members every single year, and about 85% of those staff members are former students. So you can see it really, it's not just participating in a program, it's participating in a community that we hope for a very long time.
Awesome. So I'm going to touch on some of the misconceptions that we see kind of on site and that I'm able to kind of get a firsthand glimpse of. And so one of well, these two kind of go together, but university organized programs are better than other programs that run on campuses, such as NSLC or other summer programs. And then also that like NSLC is just using university facilities or spaces. And so I'm going to just flip to the slide with our location so you guys can check that out as I'm just chatting a little bit more about that. I would say we definitely work very, very closely with the campuses that we are on each summer. I know personally, as someone that's a site director, we coordinate all of our meals and our housing and our different things through them to try to make sure that students have the best experience possible. And so when situations come up like now in the fall and kids are applying, I can quickly kind of work with our conference services people to find an admissions officer to help a student get an answer really quickly because we have such a good relationship. I would also say that when from being on campuses where there are other programs present, colleges are always very happy to have us on campus. They're always so excited because we run really great programs. Our students are in structured activities. They feel like they have a really good time. They're following directions and things like that, leaving spaces better than they found them. And so I feel like our campus partners see that and are always really excited to have us around. That being said, when students then go to apply and they put NSLC down or write about it in their applications, the universities are like, oh yes, we know that organization. Those students are always great. And so that really, gives them a leg up, whether it feels really powerful or not. And I would also like to just point out, we do know, and I've seen there are other campus partners, other summer programs that run incognito. And so they're running the university program kind of undercover. And so it might say, that the program is run by a specific university, but really it is an organization like us just running the programs for them. And so we kind of can see that on the back end and, not something that students and families know or see, or maybe even you all, but it is helpful when thinking, oh, is this program better than a university program? In times they're pretty similar in that they're both being run by another organization. So just something to kind of make note of and put out there as well. Another common misconception is that your professors or the people that you have guest speaking don't necessarily work at the university that is a part of the host program. And so I think this is a really interesting one because I think it's kind of twofold. It may or may not be true. In most cases, we try and have professors at the specific university. Students are going to the business school or the med school at that university and getting to meet professors and people like that in the field. I would say in the summer, it's difficult. That's when people take their breaks. So some people are not around and are not available. And so it really depends on kind of our timing and our dates and things like that. But I think it's such a bonus that students don't necessarily just have professors from the specific school. They're getting to meet professionals in the field from the area in general. They're getting to see what a day in the life is like. They're getting to network with someone just in that general area, in that vicinity. It really helps when you're thinking about like internships later on down the road, jobs even further down the road than that. And then also our professors that aren't necessarily affiliated with the program are professors from really great universities. And so the one here is a
Mm.
really good friend of mine. He actually works at DePaul University, but has been doing our sports management program for years. If you know anything about sports management, it's obviously a love of mine, but there aren't many sports management programs. It's kind of under business, under, management and sales. And so to have someone from a business, from a sports management program doing sports management things day in and day out with students, I think is just really invaluable. Every year, students feel like they get to meet a professor. They're excited about that school, not just the school that they've spent the 9 days at. So I really do think it has a really great impact on students' experience in college overall and with faculty and professors in general. Another common misconception, which we talked about a little bit, is you supervise your students. The conception that students really just are free roaming the whole time. And so, as Andrea kind of mentioned, we do have a really structured schedule. And I always say with this for families and educators as well, it's not for everyone. There are programs that are for students. If you're looking for, that lecture where you get college credit specifically and you're in classes from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., it might not be the program for you. We're doing a lot of hands-on things. We're taking field trips. We're having leadership sessions, kind of being able to do those hands-on rotations and activities. And so students are very busy. And I would say that's something that they always make note of on their evals. They're like, "Ooh, I was tired." I'm like, "Good. That's what we want. We want you to be tired. But we also want you to get the most out of your money because again, it's not free, it's not cheap. So we want to make sure it's worth it for students." So you can kind of see the 9 day schedule here. I kind of highlighted some of the big things, the lectures, the guest speakers, our field trips, our leadership, those kind of run throughout the 9 days, depending on day, depending on kind of what's available, depending on when we take those big trips and academic pieces. So. And then another one is that colleges don't really care about summer programs. And so really thinking through, if a student does a summer program, as you guys have seen, and I know I did when doing college applications with students, is it something that they should mention on their letter of recommendation or in their activities or in their essay? And so I think one of the big things that I've kind of seen, and I'll kind of show you guys the programs while I'm chatting, is that like I mentioned, universities know and recognize NSLC as a great summer program option. I also think more than that, it allows students to kind of speak to their passion, their interest, rather than just saying, yes, I really want to be a doctor or a nurse. Students learn how to suture, they learn how to biopsy, they experience like a day in the life with a particular surgeon or dermatologist. And so it helps them to kind of speak more in depth as to why they might want to go into something like this. And whether they say NSLC specifically or a summer program, they can use that experience in their essay to kind of speak to, who they want to be, why they want to go to this specific school. I would also say the same with like leadership, which we'll talk about in a little bit, is that students are learning a lot about themselves throughout these 9 days. And they're getting to kind of see in a different environment with people that they don't know who they are and who they want to be. And I think having that realization is super big for students when they're thinking about filling out a college application, putting their best foot forward. And I think that's evident to colleges and universities. But besides all of those things, which are really not tangible, we do let students or have students walk away with a transcript, a letter of recommendation, and a certificate, all of which they can upload throughout the Common App like application process. And we can kind of help them with so that they can kind of point to this experience. And so I think it's one good way to get, a second letter of recommendation that's not from a teacher or not from a counselor to kind of speak to their experience with us.
Thank you. And it's not one of the number one reasons students come to our programs, but it is the number one reason why I work for the NSLC. And if any of you have ever a chance to observe our programs on campus or observed our programs through one of your students attending our programs, they usually will always say that that leadership component was really the life-changing aspect of their experience. And it is really why a lot of students come back saying this was their best summer of ever. And it's a bonus. For them, it's a bonus because they're coming primarily for other reasons, which I'll get into in a bit. But this leadership component, we hire leadership facilitators. These are TED Talk type professional speakers who spend the summer at Georgetown, at UC Berkeley, at the University of Miami, et cetera, working with the students on what I call life skills. This is the social and emotional component that has become so important, especially post-pandemic. They're working with the students on, learning a little bit more about who they are. What gifts do they have? How do they want to contribute to the world that they live in? Oftentimes, students learn, how to speak in public more effectively. They gain confidence in themselves. And their parents call us and sometimes say, "What did you do to my student? This is incredible." They came in one way and they leave another. So these are dynamic workshops that these facilitators engage the students in. And if you ever have a chance to come and see our programs, definitely make sure you see a leadership activity. It's really an incredible experience. And again, why I work for the NSLC, the life-changing aspect. Why students usually come to the NSLC are other reasons. So the first reason is the career exploration. Just like when students, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, get their first car, they're going to want to test drive that car and see what it feels like, see what it smells like, really get a sense of whether or not they want to purchase that car. We have the same philosophy about their careers. You should test drive your career before making those important decisions for university and even beyond. We have students who think that they know what forensic science is, because they love the television show Crime Scene Investigation. And they come to our programs and realize, wow, this is not exactly what TV shows, is displaying the field of study. And so that's excellent information. Sometimes students confirm their career interest through these hands-on interactive activities, but oftentimes, students come to our programs realizing medicine is not for me. I don't want to see blood. And that's really excellent information because what better way to make that decision when they're 15, 16, 17, 18 years old versus in a pre-med program, realizing this is not what they want to do for the rest of their life. Again, an investment in their future. So that's the one reason students come to the NSLC. The number two reason, very similar to other summer enrichment programs that are held at universities, they get a chance to experience life on that college campus, living in the dormitories, as Kelsey was saying, eating in the cafeterias, going to the classrooms, and engaging in really collegiate level of discussions and activities. We're going to go ahead and show a quick video so you can hear a little bit about some of the testimonials from students and hear from some of our faculty members and guest speakers.
The NSLC organization is magical. Getting the students to leave the confines of their home, it really gets them comfortable for what's ahead when they step onto a major university.
Everyone who's of high school age is filled with doubt, and when you come to NSLC, you can replace that uncertainty and that doubt with some good, solid information.
The NSLC changed the way I look at life.
I thought I wasn't smart enough. I thought that there wasn't going to be people who looked like me.
It's a completely different environment. It reinforced the idea that I do want to do this rather than just going into college and having to switch my major.
The simulation I definitely would not have done in high school.
Having that hands-on experience with people that are as engaged as I am is super rewarding. So many opportunities that you're given to truly know if that's the career path you want to follow.
I've met so many like-minded individuals.
People from all over the world with so many different experiences.
Having to sleep in a dorm, not to be with your parents.
And just finding friends who really care about me.
Growing as a person, not only as a student.
The faculty, the people who are teaching these lectures are just brilliant minds.
It's so helpful in realizing what steps it takes to really be successful.
Knew it was going to play again. I love that video. I've seen it so many times, and it just really gets me pumped and excited for the summer. I love hearing kind of students' firsthand experience. And so kind of with all of that we've kind of talked about, the truths about NSLC, kind of telling you more about our programs, we really do want to take a moment to just encourage you to think about students that you think could use a summer experience or opportunity like this, and consider nominating them. As Andrea mentioned, we do consider you all educators as well. You know students very intimately, you know kind of what they need and what programs and things that they might be interested in. And so we really would encourage you guys to consider nominating students from your kind of organization or group as well. So we're looking for, high school or middle school students with a B average, 3.0 GPA around ish, and then some demonstrated leadership potential. And so basically what that's saying is that you feel like this would be a good program for them in those leadership sessions, in those activities, you feel them being able to contribute and being able to make the most out of this experience. And so we want to encourage you to reach out to us. That email that is there, I monitor with another colleague specifically, and so we can get you an NSLC ID and we can help you start nominating students as soon as possible. And so we did want to just give like a little freebie or a little gimmick for you guys too while you're here. So for all of you that are here today, when I stop sharing, I'll put in the chat a Google form link, but we would encourage you to nominate up to 10 students that you feel like might be good for our programs. And then we will give them $50 off of their program, just so that they can be encouraged to contribute and be in something such as NSLC. So we'll share that with you all that are here today as well, just so you have that opportunity. But for everyone kind of listening on to the recording later on too, nominating students is a really good way to get them into our programs, to allow them to pick a program and dates and locations that best fit them before things kind of start filling up.
And we'd like to hear from you. I'm sure, we have some questions. We'd love for you to keep in touch with us. You have the emails there, and our Instagram is a great way to stay on top of what we're doing when, deadlines are approaching. But what can we help you with in our remaining time? Thank you for listening too.
Hi, can I ask a question?
Hi, Margaret. Sure.
Hi, I love this program. The kids are absolutely exhausted when they return, but what I really like is that they're so full. They are just so full that I can help them unpack. And it really is this evolution of maturity that happens. For many of the students I send, it's their first time away from home. So there is so much happening in the first 3 days, and then they remember that they're here to actually learn something. But you put up a slide about this perception that if I'm not choosing a pre-college program that is linked to credits, that I'm choosing a lesser program. And I think that I come up against that a lot. Parents, that's a little more nuanced, but I think with my colleagues, that comes up a lot. Mm-hmm. And I find with this program that credit, no credit, my students just take away so much that I don't have that consideration. But I'm wondering if you can talk about that for just a moment, dip into your students on this campus and the interaction of a campus environment. And that if I were getting credits for that, honestly, I don't know if it would even make a difference. So yeah. If we could just touch on that for a moment. I know that my colleagues probably have their own 2 cents and what they've heard and we want to get the most bang for our students. I completely I'm 100% there with you. But this difference in the two types of programs, if we could bat that around for a moment, I think it's a fair topic to bat around.
For sure. I'll start, and then Andrea, if you have anything to add, feel free. But I think we do, I just want to mention, have a college credit program. It is asynchronous, kind of on Canvas, Blackboard through American University. So students can do that or have that add-on to their program for an extra cost. It is 1 credit. And so when I'm talking with families as a former school counselor, talking with students, it's not something that I necessarily throw out there first unless they are specifically asking for something like that. And again, I think from what I've said like that, it just might be another option or another program for you. And so this is 9 days. Maybe the rest of your time in the summer is spent doing something like that. But for 1 credit, I don't know if it's the best use of time, especially when we know that students are in AP classes, they're in dual enrollment classes, some are getting associate degrees before they even graduate high school. And so, do they need 1 credit, or do they need to even be in classes to take college credit in the summer when they could get it potentially at their school for cheaper or free or at a discounted cost? So that's kind of the way that I think about it. But yeah, Andrea, feel free to add kind of to anything you're thinking.
Yeah, well, and at some of these, programs that I know Kate mentioned in the chat about some of these programs that are actually run by universities, they're actually not run by universities, they're run by organizations like us that are operating. And they could be for credit. Sometimes the professors are not, full professors or even tenure track professors. They're PhD doctoral students. I know that is often what is done with, Summer at Brown, which is a great program. Because when I was there, a lot of my peers in the doctoral program, this is a great training ground for doctoral students to get training to teach on campus. But the students often think that these are tenure track, professors. Um, and I think that it's really different because the I think for a student who is looking for a research oriented theoretical course and 3 hours every day, the rest of the time off, or or optional social and cultural, etc. Activities, um, NSLC is not for them. They shouldn't participate at NSLC. Um, like you said, Margaret, it's so full. And I think the profile of the student that we're looking for is somebody who likes to be busy, gets bored easily, because they will not be bored at the NSLC. And the programming is just so rich in terms of giving students an opportunity to start networking professionally. These are life skills, and it's really hard to kind of put that, like Kelsey was saying, tangibly, like how do you measure the value of that? But I think it's really important. I mean, to have experiences with CEOs who are giving students business cards and saying, contact me when you're in college if you need an internship, you know, an academic researcher may not be able to do that because they're doing other things, right? And for a research oriented student, NSLC is not going to be for them. But a student who really wants to engage in their professional career and learn so much about different career paths that they can go into, it's comparing apples and oranges, really, I think.
One thing I forgot to ask them that I'm hoping maybe the two of you may answer. While I'm sure all the programs are great, is there a flagship one that you guys are like particularly proud of? Like maybe one that maybe gets a little more sign up than the others?
Yes. I can just because
Can you tell me?
I have been on the road and students are asking about this. So medicine at Yale is the program that fills up usually by the end of December. And we're only offering 2 sessions this year, so that is going to even probably get more saturated. But that one gets, because we work on a rolling admissions basis. And so students are enrolling, I mean, through the summer sometimes. But medicine at Yale will fill, and then we have to create wait lists. But the same exact program with the same exact curriculum is offered at 7 other universities. So it's the same thing. It's not that it's better. It's just highly coveted.
And I would say, like, yeah, our medicine programs, engineering, psychology, like those are like kind of our staples, and they run at multiple locations. So I would say those would be our flagship-ish ones. But I think what makes us cool, which is not your question, but like the more niche
That's okay.
program, like marine biology, it's only offered at 2 locations and obviously near water. So like I was in New York this week in recruiting, and they're like, I want to go to marine biology. I'm like, you're gonna have to get to Miami, because we just can't do that in New York. And so I think like programs like that, film, which are like really in the film hub of LA and Vancouver, sports management, again, my personal favorite, but running out of New York City and then down at Duke with, the collegiate kind of sports area. So I think those are kind of cool because when students are looking for, architecture, experience in architecture, there's not many other programs out there. And I think we do a really good job of touching on those niche programs and places. So
And new interior design this year.
Oh, really?
Yes, we're offering. And our executive director, Christina Duffy, she actually created our fashion management program a couple of years ago. And this year we're adding fashion management and design. So those are some new ones.
We've got a question. How do the admissions offices in most competitive universities and colleges see your programs? Which I believe you touched on a little bit, but if you could maybe address that question in particular.
Yeah, as a former college counselor, I would just say, and also working on the other side, not at a competitive university, I think it's you know, going to our program or really almost any summer enrichment program is not a straight ticket into university. And I really hope that all summer enrichment programs are telling you that. And if they're not, they're lying, right? I mean, there are very, very few highly, highly, highly competitive summer enrichment programs that will offer some extra points, right? That's not the NSLC. I think, what Margaret is alluding to, in some of her responses about admissions are looking at the experience and the way that experience comes out is through the personal statements that they're writing. And if they often, I've heard it being on the road this week from IECs that your leadership component, the experiences are usually helping the students craft a story about themselves. And that is what is compelling, or why they want to attend X university, maybe an experience that they received while living. They are able to write more compelling statements by having an NSLC experience to show versus just tell that they went to NSLC. Kelsey, I don't know if you wanted to add
Yeah, and
anything.
I would just add, I mean, I'm at Georgetown University in the summer, and so you guys that know, I know I remember like their application process is very difficult, and by paper and not on their web, it's just a lot going on. And so I always encourage students with us to take the hour that they have of free time, and truly it's like 1 hour on a random day. But I'm like, okay, I pointed out during our opening ceremony, and I'm like, if you want to sign up for an admissions tour, you should do so. If you want to go follow up with that professor that we met, you should do so, kind of using that time wisely because they are on campus. They have had that experience of, knowing where that building is or being able to quickly go meet with an admissions officer. So that's something that I encourage. But yeah, like I mentioned, and Andrea did too, our university partners really know us well. So I think regardless, the name pops up on the kid's application, and I think it means something, or we've seen that it means something to them. So.
I can touch upon in the chat, there was a question about Chicago. Yes, our offices are based in Chicago. I live in Chicago when I'm not traveling, domestically and internationally. And so we will not have residential programs at Northwestern this year. We were really only offering medicine at Northwestern in the past couple of years. But we are toying around with the idea of having day programs, so commuter options. specifically at Northwestern and UCLA. So that might be a really good opportunity, and that will look very differently from the NSLC experience that Kelsey and I've just talked about. It will be a more, college level class type experience, and then they go home. So be on the lookout for more information about that. I'll let Kelsey talk a little bit about sports management. And then just the three programs that we're offering at Oxford are engineering, international law and politics, and international business and finance. And I put a PDF document in the chat, and I can throw it in again, that has a list of all the programs, dates, locations, and tuition. So you have all of that.
And other than airfare, I mean, like, that Oxford program is pretty reasonable, I would argue. I mean, all of them are, but if I was a student and that were put in my face, I could see a lot of my clients, wanting to do that for sure.
Yeah. And it's a little bit longer too. So the money per day is comparative to the rest of our programs. So
Sure.
mhm.
Parents can have a trip there while the kids, yeah. Sure, I'm sure that's never happened before, right?
Never.
Yeah.
Take care of my
And yeah,
kid.
just
Yeah.
speaking to sports management, it has been offered at Northwestern before, back when we had more programs there. And like I said, we're working with the Professor DePaul, so it's something that we are honestly thinking about because he wants to get it closer to him, and in his city. But right now it just runs at Columbia and then at Duke.
Aparna.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is very helpful. Quick question. I'm from West, and you have UC Berkeley around this area. Other than that, are you planning to open more locations in and around? Because there are a lot of students, and it's very difficult for everyone to compete for one thing. So I was just wondering.
Yeah, we have UC Berkeley, UCLA, and UBC on the West Coast. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
nothing
University of
more?
Michigan being in the middle, yeah, of the country.
Okay.
I would say that Berkeley specifically is one of our larger sites and has 5 or 6 programs there, runs all summer. And so it's not that much competition. We do take, over 2,000 students each summer there specifically. So
Wow.
just encouraging them to
Oh,
reach out.
wow. Okay.
And UCLA has some of those niche programs like music industry and production, film industry and production. And I will say that we are now doing a new film intensive program, which is 18 days. 9 days will be spent at UCLA, and then we fly to Vancouver to finish the program 9 days in Vancouver. So students have an opportunity to get both the US film industry and the Canadian industry. That should be a really great program.
That's awesome.
We're coming right up at time, but any other questions, or feel free to reach out to us and email us with other questions that you have.
I think I'm going to use my host privileges to get one more in. Is that okay? Okay. So I do a lot of passion projects with my clients. I hate that nomenclature, but it's a word that everyone gets, But is there a I know that it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it seems the programs are really there to just kind of let the kids get like a meaningful foot in the water, right? Like to kind of experiment, develop their interests on it a bit. Is there anything that they could do potentially that translates into a bullet point on a portfolio? Okay. So like,
Yeah. And a couple ones. I mean, I don't know, maybe Kelsey can speak about film. I mean, there's a lot of the arts and design programs can offer students an opportunity to take home, their own, producing and editing and directing their own film, things that can definitely go in their portfolio. But I would also touch upon the one program that doesn't have a career focus, leadership and service. It's a 6-day program, and this is perfect like for students who really want to maybe go into social impact career, social entrepreneurship, NGO work. They're writing grants. They're learning how to write grants. Our foundation gives seed money to the winning grant. So there's a way that they can maybe take home $1,000 that can go towards their own community outreach program. And they're doing, they get community service hours for that too.
Yeah, I would say all of our programs, and I didn't mention it, so thank you, on our kind of sample schedule, but all of our programs do a simulation throughout their time in the 9 days, kind of in their smaller TA groups, we call them. And so they're kind of working on a project, and a lot of them have those tangibles that they can take away that they can use toward a portfolio. And we do a really good job at giving 2 or 3 kids the class or the section where they're designing the stage for theater, because then they can use the 3D images that they created and put those in their portfolio. Same with architecture. They're building a model, they're doing a model on SketchUp. That's something that they can easily put in their portfolio. Music is the same. Some of the kids came up with like beautiful songs last year, and like we truly are nerds and still listen to them as a group because they were so good. So I think every student kind of walks away with something. It's just kind of figuring out where to put it and kind of what it amounts to. I think like business, I do like some of the political stuff in DC. Those are a little bit harder because it's not a thing that they walk away with. They might have won their, campaign or the debate, but it's a little bit harder to put into words. But I think, yeah, they're definitely walking away with things that they can put toward their portfolio or speak about.
This is great.
Mhm.
I answered a question in the chat about
Yeah, another one of
computer
mine.
science.
I'm being real needy. I'm sorry.
No, no.
Well,
Yeah,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
oh, no, I was just going to say all the computer science like programs run at Johns Hopkins University. Engineering kind of runs everywhere, but a lot of those niche programs are there, which I think is really fitting given the school and its reputation.
Very cool. Well, we are just thrilled to have you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If if we wanted to if an IEC wanted to partner with you guys, what's the best way to do that? Who would we reach out to? What's the link we would need to click on? Or
Just contact the educator.info@nslcleaders.org email that I provided in the chat,
okay,
and Kelsey just provided, and we'd be happy to engage in a dialogue with you all. And if any of you work with international students, I direct and founded actually international admissions. Really haven't talked a lot about international students, but I'm happy to work with you all with
Yeah,
them.
and everywhere, but we travel domestically as well, all
Yeah.
over. So if we're coming near you or, you'd like us to come near you, please let us know. I just had dinner with some IECs in New York earlier this week and it was really great. So yeah, happy to do that or meet with any families you have too.
well, we are privileged and proud to have you. Thank you so much for sharing. This has been great. I'm working with a couple of sophomores right now one of them, I feel like there's been a lot of stuff about coding. There's lots of neat little boot camps that kids can kind of get their feet wet in, but engineering in particular, I think is really tough, unless you know someone that can watch them job shadow. And so, I've definitely got, I think, a couple of people I can toss your way. Yes?
Also, just one before you all leave, because I know you all have students that are now in university. And if you have students that are in university, please tell them to apply for jobs with us. We open up our job application
Mhm.
hopefully next in December, but we hire hundreds of college age students to work directly with the students living in the dorms. Great opportunity, to get basically exposure to our program and everything it has to offer, except instead of them paying us, we pay them. So please tell your college age students to apply for a job with us if we have a program that they're studying.
Do they need to be American citizens to be able to have a job with you?
They need to be at an American university so that they can extend their visa with OPT. They would Yes, in order for them to get paid, they need to attend a U.S. university in the United States.
That's fine. Thank you.
Okay, everyone. Well, I have a meeting in 3 minutes I've got to get to. But this has just been a blast. We really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Nice to
Thank
meet
you.
all. Thank you.
All right. Peace out, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.